Welcome back to Your Real Estate Voice with Barb Schlinker, the weekly radio show that informs and educates you on how to buy or sell real estate with Barb Schlinker, the host of the program and the owner broker of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. Now, Barb, we air Your Real Estate Voice every Saturday. If you can't listen to the entire show, it is always available on Barb's site, barbhasthebuyers.com, or just go ahead and search for Barb. You'll find her on most of the popular podcast platforms like iHeartRadio, etc. Every week, Your Real Estate Voice covers great information about the housing market and one of the largest assets that most people have, the home. Barb, what are we covering today?
Well, Richard, I'm excited about today's show because it's really kind of an interesting market. It seems like every month there's something a little bit different about what the dynamics in the market, what's going on, what's not going on. So people are wondering, is it more of a buyer's market or a seller's market? What that means is the buyer has the advantage in the negotiation, or in a seller's market, the seller has the advantage in the negotiation. So we're going to deep dive on some market stats and just give you kind of a rough idea of where we're at right now here in the prime time of selling season. And then the next topic is a question I get an awful lot when I go out and meet with home sellers, which is, how should I prepare my home for sale? What do I need to do to the house to get it ready for sale? Because of course, you don't put your home on the market the same way you normally live in the home. And then the third question I get quite a bit, because actually 80% of the buyers out there have a house to sell before they can buy their next home. So it's the number one dilemma we have with people trying to trade up or down into a new home. So we're going to cover how to sell a house and buy a house at the same time. It can be pulled off, but it's a little bit tricky. Plus, we have our cash offer platform that makes it very easy. And the last topic, I get this question an awful lot now, especially since the National Association of Realtors settlement, is having a buyer's agent really worth it? I just this morning, I had a seller go, "What exactly do they do?" And I was like, "Oh, that's a good question. Let me think about it and get back to you." Kind of, it was kind of like that because, but I tried to explain that there are thousands of agents out there. They all have some have buyers that they're working with. And that's the way they get paid, is if they bring their buyer to the listing. So, but the duties is another topic. And as always, I love talking about my new listings. Richard?
So, Barb, we're heading into that spring selling season. The Fed seems uncertain about lowering interest rates while the demand is lower than it was last year. What kind of market are we in now? A buyer's market where the buyer has the advantage, or a seller's market where the seller has the advantage?
Well, it's kind of in between the two of them right now. It depends on what county you're in, where you're buying and selling. The way the statistical people outline a seller's market is if the average days on market goes over 90 to 120 days. And we're really close to reaching that on a few of the counties around the Front Range. But it's not just the market in general. It could be that house or that neighborhood or that price range. There's a lot of factors that come into play. And so you really need to hire an expert that understands the market and that can help you position the home to be the most desirable one that's on the market. And I've read that about 80% of the buyers are out there kind of sitting on the sideline, hoping that the rates are going to drop down or hoping that the prices are going to drop down. But I feel like if that happens, if the rates go down with a 5 in front of it, the buyers are all going to come out of the woodwork at the same time. And the net result will be the prices are going to be driven back up because you'll have more competition on the buyer side with homes. The rates in general, the Fed hasn't helped us much. In general, the mortgage rates, even though they fluctuate hourly during the week, in general, they've been hovering around the same range of about upper sixes conventional, low sixes for the government FHA, VA loans. And you could always, though, refinance later or buy down the rate if the perfect house hits the market. And so there are some people holding out for better rates, but if you find the dream home, I don't think that's the best idea. And the reason is that when you put a house on the market, what most agents typically do is they look at, okay, here's a home like yours that sold, therefore your home must sell for that price. But every home has different things about it. It could be the location, it could be the floor plan, it could be something as small as curb appeal. It could be the number of bedrooms and baths, or whether or not it has a finished basement, or whether or not it has a basement at all, whether or not it has extra living space or unfinished space. And every buyer is looking for different things. And one of the things that I noticed is that the buyers are very well educated in their price range as far as what they're looking for. They are very aware of what's on the market, probably more so than most agents. And they can pretty much notice if a home is priced right and is presented as the best home on the block. So what we're seeing right now, really in general, is the market is a little bit softer than it was last year. But I think that as we go into the summer, it could get a lot better. The rates are kind of staying the same. Homes are definitely not selling faster. The average days on market last year was 48 days. Now, that's only the homes that are getting contracts. Keep in mind, there are some homes that may not sell until they lower the price to where they get a buyer. Right now in El Paso County, average days on market are hovering around 76 days. Number of available homes is really kicked up by 30%. And so what that tells me is that if there's more homes available, and the rates are pretty much the same with a lot of buyers sitting on the sideline, it leans more to a buyer's market. Douglas County prices have retracted back from where they were at the beginning of the year. Their average days on market is only 64 days. And yes, their inventory is going up too. Teller County is pretty much the same story, although Teller County, mountain communities in general, that area, their prime time is starting right now. This is where all the Texans come out and they see the beautiful mountains and they can't resist it. So summertime is the hot time for Teller County for sure. So it's been relatively flat looking backwards, but we're going to see inventory rise going into the summer. Pueblo has a large variety of price ranges. Right now, the median list price is in the mid threes, but the average days on market is a lot higher, up to 111 days. But here it is. Every home is different. Every neighborhood is different. How the home is presented for sale is different. We just sold one this past week, basically to a cash buyer very quickly. We didn't do the normal process of going on the market and trying to make it look like a model home, but the seller got the price that they wanted, the buyer got the home that they wanted, and everything's working out great. So if you are thinking of making a move, you want to sit down with somebody that's very familiar with your area, familiar with the market, that does some sales, that really understands what's going on in the market right now, with as much as half or more home sellers lowering their price over time. That tells me that they're not getting really good advice about what their home will sell for, what they're likely to sell for right now in this market. So if you are thinking of making a move, give us a call at 719-301-3900 or go to barbhasthebuyers.com. Typically, we can match up to 800 buyers for any one home. Plus, we have our cash offers. Give us a call, 719-301-3900 or go to barbhasthebuyers.com. Richard?
Barb, we're discussing the Fed's recent increase on that Fed borrowing rate and whether or not it has an effect on the housing market. So, Barb Schlinker, what should home sellers expect and do in a market situation like this one?
Well, Richard, in most cases, we're not seeing bidding wars unless the seller makes a decision to price the home, what I call very realistically, coupled with a great home and a great location in great condition. We just did that on one home, and we definitely got a bidding war, and the outcome was very good. The seller's very happy, the buyer's very happy, and we're moving forward. But that really doesn't happen all the time. preparation is key. I just met with a seller this morning. And before we did photo day, I walked through the house with him and said, all right, do this, do this, do this, do that. And he did everything I said. I was so surprised when I saw the home. It looks amazing. And then now it's so pared down. I said, okay, you can put some things back because you still live here. And that's fine because we've got the photo. We've got what we need to get the buyers in the door. And in general, if a home needs work, probably about 40+% of those buyers are going to pass on that home unless it's priced what I call very, very realistically. And you have to understand that your first showing on a house is online. If you don't win their hearts and minds on the internet, the buyers won't even come to see it. That means the marketing has to be right and or the pricing has to be right, and it's presented in a proper way to attract the right buyer from the home. One of my colleagues calls it online dating, which I think is very cute, but that is very much like that. And, years ago, when back in the old days, before all of these homes were online and made available for the buyers to see, what has changed is that the quality of the imagery is so good that many times the buyers are making a decision as to whether or not they're going to buy the home before they even go see it. They haven't even looked at the home yet. When I first started in the industry way back, a long time ago, the internet and the photos and the quality really wasn't that good. So typically the buyers are going to look at anywhere from 20 to 40. I think my record back then was one buyer looked at 126 homes. That one kind of wore me out, but they bought the 127th. And, but now buyers only physically view 1 to 5 homes. And, they're expecting a lot. They're expecting the photos to be good. And if you only have a minute to make an impression. So if they don't get what they want in that 1 minute by looking at your home online, they are moving on and they won't be back. So that's why you have to hire somebody that really knows how to position the home to attract that online buyer as well as the in-person buyer. So if you are thinking of making a move, give us a call, 719-301-3900, or go to barbhasthebuyers.com. We have over 28,117 buyers just on our little website. Typically, we can match up to 800 homes, and we also have our cash buyers. So just call us 719-301-3900 or barbhasthebuyers.com. Richard?
You're listening to Your Real Estate Voice. That's Barb Schlinker of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. She is your real estate voice. And if you are thinking of making a move, call Barb at 719-301-3900 or visit barbhasthebuyers.com. A short break. When we come back, we'll be discussing how should you prepare a home for sale before selling it. Stay tuned for that.